Right, I thought I'd do a video on how to maintain and clean your artificial grass, especially if you've got like a furry friend, where they like to do their business on your grass, on your lawn. What I've got is I've actually got a pet. It's like a pet version. It's quite a thick pile on this one, and all it means is basically that it's got more holes underneath for drainage. However, it doesn't really stop the smell of urine now and again, so you need to keep it regularly maintained. Part of a ritual. I mean, I only just done this a few days ago anyway, so it actually doesn't smell, but I'm going to give it a clean anyway, just for its top up maintenance. It is worth bearing in mind that over time, when your dog's having a wee and everything on your artificial grass, is that say the urine can crystallize. A lot of that smell can actually be coming from under your artificial grass as opposed to on top. And in them instances, you probably need to go on to Amazon and order some proper pet artificial grass disinfectant deodorizer, which can be it is quite expensive. I think a litre, little litre or half a litre bottle of it is about 20 odd quid. So it's not really something that you want to be spending every week on your weekly maintenance. You want to just keep that for pretty much when the weather changes and stuff and you start to get the sun out and everything. That's when it's going to do that. So like, it doesn't matter what you do, every now and again you're probably going to need to get some of the professional stuff, which then goes down underneath and everything, and it breaks up that crystallization. So then what I'm going to be doing today is basically it's going to be more of a weekly routine sort of thing. If you start to walk across and you start to get a whiff, then you might want to do it more than once a week during the hotter months. You might want to do it every other day or something like that. So what's happening is artificial grass doesn't react like normal grass. Normal grass, in the morning, it'll naturally want to grow towards where the sun is. Your artificial grass does not. So basically you have to manipulate the fibres up to make it nice and fluffy, I suppose. Because artificial grass, when it goes flat, what that'll do is it'll start to hold the smell more as well. So phase one is, because the dogs do their business and everything on this, I'm going to give it a hoover. And what the hoover will do with the brush fibres of the hoover, it'll lift some of this pile. With that hoover, it doesn't actually lift all of it on this particular artificial grass, because it is quite a thicker, it's actually a thicker pile, so it doesn't brush it all the way up. But what we're doing for the purposes is basically use a hoover. It'll pick up the debris and it'll lift some of this grass up, which will then help release some of the smell as well. So it'll give it it'll aerate it a bit, so that's going to help. So I'll do that first, and basically, if you're in a situation, let's say your artificial grass is wet, then you're going to skip the hoover stage. You're not going to hoover it. What you would do then is you'll probably either use a yard brush just to sweep the debris and sweep as much of this up as you can, or using a power brush, which I've got as well. So first things first, in the cleaning and maintaining, I'm just going to hoover it. So now I've got the hoover up. So what I'm doing is I'm just basically get rid of the debris, and it just lifts a pile of the artificial grass up just a little bit, to start releasing some of the smell. And with the fibres lifted, it's going to give you more for when you're disinfecting or you're putting your cleaning product down. It's going to be able to get into more places. If it was completely flat, it's not going to work as well. So basically, you want to rough your artificial grass up a bit before we go on to the next stage. So I've now hoovered it, and basically when the pile's down, like you see, that's going to kind of hold in smells and dirt and things like that. When you've lifted the fibres by using the hoover or a brush, you then separating where they might be cluttered together, and it's obviously going to let your grass aerate. So we want that as well, let the grass aerate. So now I've done that, I'm going to move on to the actual cleaning method. So for this stage, you're going to need a watering can. I'm going to use a watering can with the kind of holes in here. That's great because then the water just kind of sprays all over. And on this occasion, I am just going to use some of Asda's washing powder, washing liquid. I do vary this. Sometimes I've used like Zaflora or the disinfectants as well. You can do that. Essentially, this is just a maintaining situation. So I'm going to use this on this occasion. It seems to work all right. And like I said, every now and again, you're probably going to need to get the actual real deal stuff from Amazon, just solely because over time urine can crystallize. My grass actually doesn't smell today. I'm literally just keeping on top of it. Sometimes it's best to prevent the smells than to wait for them. So that's what I'm going to do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop 2 cupfuls of that into that watering can. Alright, so I've put that in. So now I'm just going to fill it with water. Just before I do that, there is other ways you can do this. You could use a pressure washer with kind of an attachment where you can throw the detergent through, but I haven't got a pressure washer, so I'm just going to use a watering can, which works just as well, to be honest, for what I'm going to do. Just pause the video while it's filling. Hot water or cold water, whichever. I don't really think it makes that much of a massive difference. Most detergents now are all designed to work under cold water conditions anyway. So that said, and now I've got my grass and all nicely brushed up with the hoover. I'm going to stick the detergent down, and that's just going to make it smell a little bit better. Just to see, it's not a case of just putting this down and then leaving it. There is another step to this method, and I'll show you that when I've wet the grass. Actually, just while I remember on, if you have got your furry friends, you're probably best off putting them inside the house during this stage. Last thing you want is for them to walk on the grass, get this stuff on their paws, they go back in the house or wherever and they start licking their paws. So for this process, you do want to keep your pets either indoors or away from the area that you're treating. So that's now all done. The grass is nice and wet, and it's got the detergent in. I don't know if it'll show well on the camera, but you can maybe see the glisten on the grass, just because it is wet. The watering can really works pretty well in this situation. Only really to be bettered by using something like a pressure washer, or even a hose pipe. So I'm going to go on to the next step now. Basically what some people might do is they might just get to the stage and think, oh, that's it, I've put that down, it's not smelling anymore. Well, I know, but all you'll be doing is masking it. So basically what you want to do is you actually want to wash the carpet, you actually want to clean it. So imagine you've got a dirty plate and you put a dirty plate in a sink full of water and you just take it out. It might smell like washing up liquid, but it won't be clean. So to clean it, with a plate you would use a scour or something, so you would agitate it. So this is exactly what we're going to do here. For this, I've actually got a power brush, so I'm going to use a power brush because that works really well. Other methods would be just holding it down, or using a pressure washer, or effectively just using a hard bristle brush. But I feel the power brush works really well, and what the power brush will do at the same time is it'll really just lift the grass up. Basically the power brush is one of the best things I bought. So I'm going to go do that now. Just another thing to bear in mind, if you have got a hoover for outdoors, obviously only use it for outdoors. Last thing you want to do is kind of hoover up artificial grass where your dog's maybe done wee-wees and poo-wees, and then using that same hoover inside the house. So get yourself on the marketplace and stuff like that. There's plenty of hoovers on there for dead cheap or even free from some places. Right, so I'm just going to jump on to the next step now, and I'll get it hooked up and I'll get back to you. So then, power brush, that's what I'm going to use to agitate and lift the grass even further than what the hoover can. This little machine here was a great little buy. It's really powerful. Downside to it, they send it with a stupid little cord about that big, and I just haven't gotten round to buying a cord extension for it, so I'm just going to have to muddle through with that like that. What you want to do is with a power brush is, if you're using artificial grass, you want to kind of use it on a low setting, and don't do what I did when I first bought it, and I turned it right the way up to 6, and I've actually got a bit on my grass. I don't know if it'll show up very well, but in here it's kind of like bald, and that's basically where the brush went in too heavy and pulled the grass fibres out. So with mine, I usually find it works really well between setting 3 and 4. I think I've got it set to about 4 there. Yeah, so 4 will be fine for that. So I'll crack on with that and I'll get back here. Right, get that brush in the corner here. I want you to see the difference. So that's what the grass looks like there. If I put the brush on, look at how much it's lifted the grass there. So basically, I'm using the brush to agitate the detergent. So essentially, the brush is acting like the scouring pad on your plate, which is actually gonna clean it deeper into the fibres, which then it's just obviously going to release more of the smell, or the foul smell, so that's out of the way. So I just want to show you an example of the power brush itself. If you have a look at the kind of grass there where it's just been hoovered, and compared to the grass there where I've actually went over with a power brush, you can see the difference. You can see how much the power brush really brings that pile up. I'm pretty much going to finish the video there anyway. Other methods is that I've actually got hold of a carpet cleaner. I've not actually used that method yet, but if you just keep up like a kind of weekly maintenance with the artificial grass, you shouldn't really get much of a problem with the dog urine smell. Like I say, it doesn't always completely eliminate it. I don't really smell it that much. I don't really smell the dog urine at all on there, because I do keep up with this process. But every now and again, like you say, especially when you come into hotter months, at some point you're going to need to get the expensive stuff and put the actual pet detergent stuff down, which is then going to break down the crystallization of dog urine, which is where the majority of the smell comes from. Because let's face it, all we're doing here really is we're more tackling the smell that's actually on the surface. When it's not really okay. It's kind of like when the detergent goes down, the method what I've used, it is actually doing some help to the smell that's actually underneath the grass. But that's where the crystallization is going to happen. But if you keep up like a regular maintenance, you'll not need to use the expensive stuff as often. And this method kind of works well for me, and I hope it works well for you too. Thanks for watching.